What up, my fellow NBA lovers? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and I like to say congratulations to Giannis making the decision to stay in Milwaukee. It's definitely going to change the landscape of the free agency period for next summer, in which we've seen teams like the Toronto Raptors construct their newly signed free agent and Fred VanVleet's contract for 2021 to have enough room to sign Giannis. We've seen the Miami Heat kind of delay Bam's contract, but yet they still have room to sign Giannis. And we also seen the Dallas Mavericks not actually sign any free agents to help Luka this season in order to try to gain Giannis for next season. So everything is kind of going to start to come down like dominoes, as not only those three teams, but other teams will begin to start to try to figure out what they're going to do for their upcoming seasons and how they're going to build their teams going forward. Everyone was pretty much waiting on Giannis and his decision. The Bucks had until December 22nd to sign him. Giannis signed a few days early, so now this won't become a distraction on the team. And you guys check out this segment, and every once in a while, I'll check in.
Tell me, what does this deal mean for the NBA?
Well, before I congratulations to Giannis for signing an almost $250 million contract, well-deserved. And, of course, you always respect guys like Giannis or Damian Lillard who say, I'm not ring-chasing and leaving. I'm going to try to win right here, even if it's a small or undesirable market.
Now, you see right here how Max said it's undesirable for him to stay in Milwaukee. Well, we have to understand Giannis is not an American player. So to him, anywhere he goes in America to play basketball is pretty much a desirable place, especially probably where he's coming from, which is Greece, a country that's not richer than America, no matter where you live. And then Giannis didn't have the most, I would say, advantageous position when he was a kid as far as having wealth. So anywhere in America that, especially the first franchise to give him opportunity, he will view it as a desirable place. That's one thing a lot of people underestimated with Giannis making this decision.
Not a major cosmopolitan area, not a warm weather place, not a tax-free state, stuff like that. Of course, you respect it. What this means, though, what the real implications of this, it's good for the Lakers. That was a good day for the Lakers. This morning is a good morning for the Los Angeles Lakers because Giannis was a balance of power player. Look, when KD left Oklahoma City, did anyone have a chance to beat the Warriors? He went to a place and tipped the balance of power, right? That was a bad day for the best team in the league that year, for the Cleveland Cavs. When KD went to Golden State, bad day for the Cavs. And LeBron, right? LeBron's team's usually the best team because he's the best player.
In retrospect, when KD had went to the Golden State Warriors, it should have evened that series. LeBron is way better than Curry, Thompson, and Draymond Green. Those three players work well in a system together. But put them on separate teams, they're nowhere near LeBron James, especially when he has Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love and all those role players surrounding him. Basically, the two players in that series that should have been going a mano is Kevin Durant and LeBron James. But because the Golden State Warriors play a selfless system, they were able to completely dominate the Cleveland Cavaliers. But Golden State, once again, they drafted all their players. They only went after one free agent, and that's Kevin Durant.
When that happened, LeBron really didn't have a shot at a title, and Stephen A. would point it out heading into those series based on what LeBron was saying, like, KD's over there. What can we do?
Once again, if this doesn't make any sense, they keep saying that LeBron is this great player of all time. Usually when you have one of these type of legendary players, it doesn't matter what the other team has. Look how Kobe Bryant overcame Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett. You overcome it, especially if you're a legendary player.
When Giannis stays put, though, the Milwaukee Bucks are unlikely to be much better. They're not a desirable location where major free agents are going to sign. They made a Drew Holiday move. That was nice. The Bogdanovich deal fell apart. Mirotic left for Europe, right, last year. They didn't re-sign Brogdon. They probably still don't have enough. And will they ever get enough? That remains to be seen, but I wouldn't bet on it. So who is today good for? Today favors the status quo. Whoever's already the best team has one less thing to worry about, and that's LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, the question was, who's the deal good for? The question was whether or not, what does the deal mean for the NBA? And I'm going to tell you what it means for the NBA.
What it means for the NBA is that they're going to enter their new TV deal with yet another superstar not going to a major market. That's all it really means for the NBA. Other than that, it doesn't really move the needle anything crazy.
Is that the Miami Heat are going to be what they are, a very, very good team that's going to challenge for supremacy within the Eastern Conference, but that's about all. That's what it means.
And also, it means that the Eastern Conference is pretty much more balanced. You're going to have the Raptors, the Heat, the Bucks, the 76ers, the Celtics. It's going to be pretty much a more balanced conference instead of having a team stockpiling on players.
To some degree anyway, due to what you said, Max, in terms of it being a balance of power move, because obviously if Giannis ended up on Miami, that would definitely have tipped the scales. If he had ended up someplace else, it could have tipped the scales for a respective other team. But I just think about Miami, and that's the first thought that came to my mind, because we all knew that they were trying to clear cap space. They were ensuring that they cleared cap space to make sure they had room in 2021 to go after him, if indeed that was the case. Him and Bam Adebayo have the same agent. We know that Bam Adebayo got a $163 million extension, but that still wasn't going to prevent the Miami Heat from going after Giannis if Giannis definitely said it was something that he was willing to consider.
Now, it's interesting that Pat Riley went ahead and gave Bam that extension. Even though Bam did well deserve it, we've seen Pat Riley make decisions in which he even curved D Wade, giving him an extension for the amount of money that he wanted. So Pat Riley has proven in the past, in order to put the Heat in a more advantageous position, he's willing to even kind of, I don't want to say disrespect, but he's even proven to like kind of forelook legendary players that are homegrown like D Wade in order to put Miami in a good advantage going forward for their future. So the Miami Heat had an advantage to either sign Giannis in the offseason and sign other free agents, and then including on top of that, they could have signed Bam to that extension by going over the cap. But because they signed Bam pretty much earlier, they still had a restriction on how much money they could spend going into summer of 2021.
The fact that we saw what Miami was able to do. We saw Jimmy Butler. We saw the ascension of Tyler Hero. We saw Duncan Robinson display himself as the specialist sniper that he is. We saw all of these different parts, okay? You saw Goran Dragic go down, and imagine what they would be if he were healthy. You saw Kendrick Nunn and what he's capable of doing. You look at the Miami Heat, even though that's the same team that beat the Milwaukee Bucks in the postseason in 5 games. Remember, Milwaukee didn't have Drew Holiday. And in Miami's case, they lucky Milwaukee didn't get Bogdanovich because somebody within the Bucks organization foolishly opened their mouths prematurely and put that all out there, which ultimately nixed the deal. In the end, what it comes down to is that we looked at Miami and we said, excuse me, this team has arrived. And now that they're players in the Giannis sweepstakes, imagine if they get him. We're talking about back to the days of when LeBron and D Wade were going to the finals 4 straight years, because if Giannis was in Miami, there's no way in hell we would have picked another team to knock off the Miami Heat. Now that that's not the case, then ultimately we have to look at what we're seeing here. Milwaukee is a contender, arguably a favorite. The Philadelphia 76ers can't be ignored.
I'm not sure Milwaukee's a favorite. Their bench got a lot thinner. Other teams, they're back. Brooklyn Nets, I mean, I'd even mention them. Brooklyn Nets got clutch shooters. I don't think Milwaukee kind of solved their situation with guys creating their own shots, especially hitting shots while being down in the playoffs. That seemed to be a major issue for this team, playing from behind, especially in crucial, key situations where time is running out. These guys got to get buckets. I'm not sure if Drew Holiday is the answer to their question right here. Maybe the combination of Drew, having him, and a sharpshooter from 3 would help them out. I'm wondering how Brook Lopez is going to look like this season. Is he going to be that same 3-point shooting center that he was from about 2 years ago? Because last season he kind of started to fall off.
Neither can Miami, neither can Boston, but in the end, the Eastern Conference itself is a crapshoot with those top 5 teams, with someone or the other, maybe Milwaukee or Miami playing a little bit of favorite, but outside of that, that's all you're getting here. And because of that, Miami to me is what jumps out, Max. So they're more hurt than anybody.
Definitely, for sure, they're more hurt than anybody. But I'm pretty sure, summer 2021, there's a lot of free agents still left over. Paul George is another person scratched out of it, but there's still other guys left over. Miami could recoup from, Giannis making his decision.
Well, I think that's right, but mainly what you're saying is because Giannis was linked to Miami. But Giannis didn't have to go to Miami to make that to be the balance of power. He could have gone to a half dozen teams at least, and we would have picked those teams.
AKA Dallas. I think Dallas is also butthurt over it also, especially due to the fact that they didn't get any players to help out Luka for this season because they were waiting on Giannis. And also with KP getting injured and him setting to come back, or at least come back to basketball operations in January, is going to, leave Luka for more than half the season by himself. So that's another thing that's going under the radar.
Even against the Lakers, right? That's my point. If KD would have stayed in Oklahoma City, that would have been great for LeBron in Cleveland, right? But he went to the Thunder, and it was a wrap. If Kawhi would have signed with the Lakers, why even play the season, right? As it turns out, the Lakers won anyway. Could you imagine what they would have done with Kawhi also on that team? When a superstar stays put, it's good for competitive balance, in one sense, for more teams. But whoever is the top dog rests a little easier. And to this morning, when I thought, who is this best for? You say, well, the Bucks. If they didn't trade him this year anyway, the Bucks are the same that they would have been.
I didn't ask who was best for.
Even if they had gotten Bogdanovich, Stephen A., even if they had got Bogdanovich, but what does it mean for the NBA? It means the Lakers are still on top. That's what it means. And
Yeah, Max brings up some good points. I see what he's saying here. The top team does kind of pretty much rest a little easy because, especially with the trends from the last few years, guys just stacking up on teams as superstars, with a guy just pretty much staying where he's at. The top team pretty much doesn't really take a peg down in the pecking order at all.
Be on top for the foreseeable future. That's what this means.
Well, wait a minute.
Even if they had gotten Bogdanovich, Stephen A.
I don't think the Lakers are going to be on top for the foreseeable future due to Father Time. That's something that may be creeping on the door. And then when it happens quick. Look what happened to Kobe Bryant. I believe, when was that? 2014 or the 2015 season with the Achilles injury? I mean, Kobe was killing. And once that Achilles injury happened, it pretty much was over.
They had Drew Holiday and Bogdanovich. Would you have picked them to beat the Lakers?
No. No. The point that I'm trying to make to you, Max, is that he was never going to Miami this season. So the point is him staying in Milwaukee. When you talk about the Lakers, yeah, for the foreseeable future, your point is right. But there was nothing that was that was going to derail the Lakers from being the favorites this season. The fact is that when we look at it from Giannis' standpoint in terms of what it means for the NBA, we were fantasizing about the potential of him being in Miami. That is the catastrophic impact his decision to stay in Milwaukee has had. The fact that Miami is no longer... We were looking forward to South Beach. Remember that? Remember when I was talking about going back to South Beach? Remember when I was talking about doing interviews from Biscayne Bay, leaning on yachts while I'm talking to the Michael K show? You understand? I have my reservations at the Mandarin Oriental off of Biscayne.
Uh-oh. Stephen A. Smith is kind of revealing some of his personal gripe with Giannis not going to Miami. So he's revealing the real reason why he wanted him to go to Miami. And a lot of media members want these superstars to go to the major markets. They're hoping they get sent on assignments down in those markets. And that way, of course, they want to live there, preferably versus, a smaller market like OKC or covering a team in Milwaukee. Who wants to go there with that winter weather?
Understand what I'm saying? All I'm saying, really, Molly? Really, you gonna say that with a straight face? You gonna say that with a straight face?
I see.
Is that what you just said, Molly? Stop it. Stop it, okay? Bottom line is, we can't look forward to that anymore.
Oh, my God.
Definitely, to
I
me,
miss
it's Miami.
vacation.
Because you
I
know
miss
where I was
sun.
planning on being. You know where I was
I
planning on
miss
being.
Miami.
Stephen A. Smith.
I miss all of it.
Molly, Stephen A. Smith accused me of not answering the question. when in fact we're reinterpreting the question to suit my purposes. That's not what happened. What happened is Stephen A. Smith heard this question, and he didn't see what the deal means for the NBA. He said, what the deal means for Stephen A. Smith. All he could think about was he can't spend more time in Miami. Stephen A., that's what this comes down to. The question is, what does it mean for the NBA?
I can explain. I can explain.
This should be called your own agenda, not First Take.
Listen.
Uh-oh. Molly and Max kind of picked it up, you know. Once again, a lot of these media members, when you see that they're applying pressure for these guys to go to different major markets, especially coming from smaller markets, is that, you know, they don't want to cover NBA finals traveling from Milwaukee to OKC or from Cleveland, where LeBron was, to OKC. It's those things are very boring. Now, the way last year's finals was, I seen a lot of media members making comments. They were sad because of the pandemic, because it had there not been any type of pandemic, they would have been traveling from Miami to LA, and they would have been on assignments for weeks. So that's pretty much what they love. But it is what it is. But what does Giannis deal really mean for the NBA? You know, it's one less piece on the chess table that they can take into their TV deal, where they could say, hey, we have this mega top player playing in a major market, and we can sell these games. This is one less negotiating piece that they have entering their TV deals. Because right now, best believe the NBA is definitely in the middle of their TV deals, and they're trying to get something locked in. Who knows? They're probably going to get it with a tech company, but they're definitely trying to make things happen. This past week, they also took out a private loan to cover some expenses for some of the smaller market teams. When normally, had they closed a TV deal already, they would have been able to take out just a regular loan, because of course whoever's the lender would have saw that the NBA had money and revenue coming in for the next couple of years, and they would have been good for the loan. So this will be very interesting to see. Once again, congratulations to Giannis. This is well deserved. And what this Giannis deal also means is how the owners are going to look at the SuperMax contracts heading into the next collective bargaining agreement. Because so far, the SuperMax contracts have not done what the owners intended it to do, which is keep superstar players on their current teams. It's pretty much left a lot of teams with bad contracts due to injuries or just guys, you know, wanting out in the middle of their deals. So with Giannis staying, this is pretty much one of the few success stories that they have with the SuperMax contract, in which the owners intended guys like Giannis, Damian Lillard, Russell Westbrook to stay with their small market teams. But we'll see how it plays out. Giannis's last year is an optional year, so it's really a 4-year deal. So we'll see if Giannis can apply that pressure to get Milwaukee to put something around him, or he'll end up leaving. So it is what it is. You guys stay safe. Until next time, peace.